Dad's invitation arrived on heavy cardstock. Adults only, it said between the lines. Your presence would ruin the atmosphere. The venue was Mountain Peak Resort. At the reception, the director approached him. Sir, the owner needs to speak with you. She pointed at me. Dad's new wife whispered, Who is that? The call started the next morning, but I should start earlier. Because the moment my father uninvited me from his wedding wasn't the beginning. That happened 6 years prior, when my mother died and I became the child who reminded him of everything he'd lost. My name is Olivia Chin. I'm 29. For the last 6 years, I've been slowly erased from my father's life while building something he never knew existed. My mother died when I was 23. Brain aneurysm. Sudden. 1 minute she was laughing over dinner, the next she was on the floor. Gone before the ambulance arrived. My father, Richard Chin, shattered. They'd been married 28 years. High school sweethearts. He was a commercial real estate broker. She was a teacher. I was their only child. After the funeral, he couldn't look at me without seeing her. I had her eyes, her smile, her laugh. Every conversation was a reminder of his loss. I need space, he said 3 months later. Being around you is too hard. He sold our house in Bellevue, gave me $40,000 from the sale. Your inheritance. Use it wisely. Then he left for Denver. New job. New life. We talked maybe once every 3 months. Awkward calls. Surface questions. Surface answers. I was grieving my mother and watching my father disappear. I took that $40,000 and did something he never expected. At the time, I worked as a data analyst at a Seattle tech startup, making $68,000 a year. The company was in a competitive space, predictive analytics for retail. Our CEO, Marcus Williams, was brilliant but cash-strapped. He offered equity to early employees willing to invest their own money. Put in $40,000, I'll give you 2% of the company plus your standard employee equity of another 1%. That's everything I have. I know. It's a risk. But I believe in what we're building. I thought of my mother. She always told me to bet on myself. I invested. 18 months later, we got acquired. Target bought us for $186 million. My 3% stake turned into $5.58 million. I was 25 years old. I didn't tell my father. We were barely speaking. He called on my birthday, asked how work was. Good, I said. Still at the same company. Technically true. He didn't ask for details. He never did. I hired a financial advisor, Gregory Hartman. What are your goals? He asked. I want to build something that lasts. Real estate. Properties that generate income. Commercial or residential? Both. But I'm interested in hospitality. Vacation properties. Resorts. That's capital intensive. I have capital. In 2021, Gregory brought me an opportunity, Mountain Peak Resort. A boutique property in the Cascade Mountains, 2 hours from Seattle. 48 rooms, a conference center, restaurant, spa, stunning views. The owners were retiring. Asking price, $12.8 million. It's been on the market for 8 months, Gregory said. They're motivated. What's wrong with it? Nothing structural. It's seasonal. Great in summer and winter, slower in spring and fall. Revenue is $2.1 million annually. Operating expenses around $1.6 million. Net profit, $500,000. That's a 3.9% return. Not great. True. But the property is underutilized. The conference center books maybe 40 events a year. The restaurant is only open for dinner. There's significant upside. I visited and fell in love. The main lodge was built in 1987 stone and timber, massive windows overlooking alpine meadows. Cozy but sophisticated. The rooms needed updating. The restaurant needed a new concept. But the bones were perfect. I offered $11.2 million, all cash, close in 45 days. They countered at $11.8 million. We settled at $11.5 million. On August 15, 2021, I became the owner of Mountain Peak Resort. I was 27. I created an LLC, Summit Hospitality Holdings. Sole owner. I kept my name out of public records, buried in corporate filings. I invested another $1.8 million in renovations, updated rooms, rebranded the restaurant, expanded spa services, hired a sales team for the conference center. By 2022, annual revenue hit $3.2 million. Net profit, $1.1 million. By 2023, revenue reached $4.1 million. Net profit, $1.7 million. The resort became one of the premier mountain wedding venues in Washington state, which is how my father found it. In January 2024, he called. First time in 6 months. I'm getting married, he said. I said nothing. Her name is Vanessa. We met at a real estate conference. I'm really happy. That's great, Dad. Congratulations. The wedding is in July. I'd like you to be there. Of course. Send me the details. There's one thing. Vanessa doesn't really know about you. What do you mean? I've mentioned I have a daughter, but I haven't talked much about you. About us. About the past. She thinks we have a normal relationship. That you're busy with work. So where do I fit in? You come. You smile. We don't need to get into the complicated stuff. I should have said no. But I didn't. Send me the invitation. The invitation arrived in March. Heavy cardstock. Elegant typography. Richard Chin and Vanessa Whitmore. July 20th, 2024. Mountain Peak Resort. My resort. He had no idea. I called the resort director, Patricia Mills. There's a wedding booked for July 20th, Chin Whitmore. Yes. 120 guests. Full resort buyout. Ceremony in the Alpine Meadow. Reception in the Grand Hall. 2-day event. 40 rooms booked. The package is $185,000. They paid the deposit in January. Patricia, I need to attend this wedding. You know the clients? The groom is my father. Silence. Then, does he know you own the resort? No. And I'd like to keep it that way for now. Understood. What do you need? I'll attend as a guest. Normal guest. But I want to be kept informed. Any changes, any requests, everything. 2 weeks later, I received another envelope. Not an invitation. A letter. Olivia, I need to talk to you about the wedding. Vanessa and I have discussed the guest list and the atmosphere we want to create. This is a sophisticated, elegant event. I don't think it's the right fit for you to attend. You're young. You don't know Vanessa or our friends. It would be awkward. Also, frankly, your presence would remind me of your mother. This day is about my future. I hope you understand. I'm enclosing a check for $5,000. Buy yourself something nice. Love, Dad. I read it 3 times. My presence would ruin the atmosphere. Uninvited from my own father's wedding. At my own resort. I didn't cash the check. I called Patricia. My father just uninvited me. I'm so sorry. Don't be. I'm still coming. Not as a guest. As the owner. Are you sure that's a good idea? Probably not. But I'm doing it anyway. I need every detail of their event. Timeline, seating chart, vendor list, everything. And I need to be on site, invisible until the right moment. Which moment? I'll know it when I see it. Over the next 3 months, my father and Vanessa became demanding clients. They changed the menu 4 times. Wanted specific flowers flown in from Portland. Required extra staff training. Vanessa called Patricia weekly with new requests. The package increased to $218,000. July 20th arrived. Clear and warm. I drove to the resort at noon. Parked in my private spot behind the main lodge. Entered through the back. Went to my office on the 3rd floor, overlooking the entire property. Guests began arriving at 2:30. Expensive cars. Designer clothes. Vanessa's family was old money from Connecticut. My father had upgraded his social circle. I watched him greet guests. He looked happy. Relaxed. Custom tuxedo. The ceremony was beautiful. String quartet. Alpine meadow. Sunset light. My father cried. I felt nothing. Patricia texted me, cocktail hour going smoothly. Dinner at 6:30. What do you want me to do? Not yet. I'll come down during dinner. At 6:45, I changed into a black cocktail dress, heels, and pearl earrings my mother had given me. I took the staff elevator down, walked through the service corridor. Patricia was near the entrance. "You look beautiful," she whispered. "Thank you. How's it going?" "Perfectly. Salad course just went out." I entered the grand hall through a side door. Crystal chandeliers, ivory tablecloths, white roses and orchids. A 12-piece band played jazz. I walked the perimeter, invisible. Grabbed a glass of champagne. At the head table, my father laughed. Vanessa glowed. The best man stood to toast. "Richard is one of the finest men I know. A devoted husband to the beautiful Vanessa. No mention of my mother. No mention of me. His past erased." I finished my champagne. It was time. I walked toward the head table. Patricia saw me and moved to intercept, but I shook my head. I stood 10 feet away. Patricia appeared at my father's elbow. "Mr. Chin, I'm sorry to interrupt. The property owner needs to speak with you about the event." Dad looked annoyed. "Can it wait?" "I'm afraid not, sir." Patricia turned and pointed at me. I stepped forward. My father's face went through confusion, recognition, disbelief. "Olivia?" Vanessa looked at me, then at him. "Who is that?" "That's my daughter." "Your daughter?" "I thought she wasn't coming. You said she was too busy with work." "I was busy," I said calmly. "Busy running this resort." The table went silent. "What are you talking about?" Dad asked. "Mountain Peak Resort. I own it. Since 2021. Summit Hospitality Holdings. That's my LLC." Vanessa's mouth opened. "You own this resort?" "Yes. But you're so young." "I'm 29. Old enough to build a business." Dad stared like I was a ghost. "How could you afford?" "The startup I worked at got acquired. I made $5.58 million. Used it to buy this property." "You never said." "You never asked." 6 years. Maybe 20 phone calls. Surface questions. Never once asked about my actual life. Vanessa looked between us. "Richard, you said your daughter was a data analyst." "I was. Now I'm a property owner. Among other things." The best man, still holding his microphone, looked confused. "Should I keep going with the speeches?" "No," I said. I looked at my father. "You uninvited me. Said my presence would ruin the atmosphere. I was too young, too awkward, too much a reminder of the past. You're at my resort, spending $218,000 on an event at a property I own. And you didn't invite me." Vanessa stood. "Richard, what is she talking about? You uninvited your own daughter." "I sent a letter," he mumbled. "Explained that the wedding wasn't the right environment. You paid me $5,000 to stay away. Like I was a problem to be solved." Guests were staring. Conversations stopped. Patricia stepped forward. "Miss Chin, would you like me to handle this?" "No. I'll handle it." I looked at my father. "You've spent 6 years pretending I don't exist. Building a new life. And somehow you ended up at the one property in Washington that I own. Spending over $200,000 without ever wondering who owned it." Vanessa was crying. "Richard, you told me you had a good relationship with your daughter." "It's complicated," he said. "It's not complicated," I said. "He left after Mom died. Gave me $40,000 and disappeared. We've barely spoken since. But he told you everything was fine because it was easier than telling the truth." The room was silent. 120 guests watching. "Olivia, please," Dad said quietly. "Can we talk privately?" "Why?" "You didn't privately uninvite me. You sent a letter. Said I'd ruin your wedding. So here I am. At my own resort. Watching you celebrate a marriage I wasn't allowed to attend." I turned to Patricia. "Is the final payment processed?" "Yes. 3 weeks ago. $218,000. "Good." I looked at my father. "Enjoy your reception. The food is excellent. The band is talented. You've planned a beautiful event at my resort, which you'll never book again." I turned to leave. "Olivia, wait." His voice cracked. "I'm sorry. For everything. For leaving. For not being there. For uninviting you. All of it." I stopped. Turned back. "Okay. That's it? Just okay. What do you want me to say, Dad? That it's fine?" "It's not fine. You erased me from your life because I reminded you of Mom. Your grief was too hard, so you ran and built this new life where I don't exist. Congratulations. You succeeded. Vanessa sobbed. Richard, how could you? He looked at her, then at me, then at the guests. I don't know, he said quietly. I don't know how I let it get this bad. Figure it out, I said. But not here. This is a business transaction. You paid for an event. You're receiving an event. Your wedding will continue as planned. I walked away. Through the grand hall. Past the staring guests. Out the side door. Patricia followed. Are you okay? I'm fine. That was intense. It was necessary. I stayed in my office for the rest of the reception. Watched from my window. The band kept playing. Dessert was served. But the energy had shifted. Guests kept glancing at the head table where my father and Vanessa sat in tense silence. By 10 o'clock, people started leaving early. By 11:00, the hall was empty. I drove back to Seattle. At 7:30 the next morning, my phone started ringing. Dad. I didn't answer. He called again at 8 o'clock, then 8:30, then 9 o'clock. By noon, I had 47 missed calls. I texted him, I'm not ready to talk. Give me space. He texted back, please. I need to explain. I made terrible mistakes. Please let me try to fix this. I didn't respond. Vanessa texted from an unknown number. Olivia, this is Vanessa. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Richard lied to me about your relationship. You deserve better. If you're willing to talk, I'd like to hear your side. I appreciated that. I texted back, thank you. I hope you and my father can work through this. But I need time. She replied, I understand. Take all the time you need. Patricia called me. The reviews from the Chin Whitmore wedding are interesting. Several guests left 5-star reviews praising the venue, but they all mention unexpected drama. One review says, beautiful property, but the owner's confrontation with her father during the reception was uncomfortable to witness. That's fair. We also received 3 booking requests from people who were at the wedding. They specifically asked if you'd be on site for their events. Why? One of them said, if the owner cares enough to show up when she's been wronged, she clearly cares about her property. That's the kind of place we want to book. I laughed. So the drama is good for business? Apparently. We're up 7 bookings this month. 3 weeks later, I finally answered my father's call. I want to talk in person, please, he said. Why? Because I owe you an explanation. An apology. More than that. I owe you years of conversations we should have had. You can't fix 6 years in one conversation. I know. But I need to try. I agreed. We met at a coffee shop in Ballard. He looked older. Tired. The glow from the wedding was gone. When your mother died, I broke, he started. I couldn't look at anything that reminded me of her. Including you. So I ran. Built a life where I didn't have to confront the pain. A life where you didn't exist. Yes, you did. You lost your mother. And I abandoned you when you needed me most. Yes, you did. Vanessa left him. After the wedding, when she learned the truth. She said she couldn't marry a man who'd abandoned his daughter and lied about it. I don't deserve you, he said. But I'm here asking for a chance. Not to fix everything. Just to start trying. I thought about it. Here's what I'm willing to do. We can talk once a month to start. You can ask about my life. I'll answer honestly. But I'm not going to pretend the last 6 years didn't happen. I understand. And you need therapy. Real therapy. Because you can't build a relationship with me while you're still running from mom's memory. I started last week. After Vanessa left, I found a grief counselor. Good. That's a start. For the first time in 6 years, I told him about the startup acquisition, the investment, buying the resort, growing the business. He listened. Properly listened. I'm proud of you, he said. I should have said that years ago. Yes, you should have. Can I come visit the resort sometime? Maybe. Eventually. Not yet. I'll wait. We finished our coffee. One more thing, I said. The $5,000 check you sent to pay me to stay away from your wedding. I donated it to a grief support organization for young adults who've lost parents. In Mom's name. He nodded slowly. She would have liked that. I know. That was 6 months ago. Dad and I talk once a month. Phone calls. Awkward at first, getting easier. He's still in therapy. Learning to talk about Mom without falling apart. Vanessa called me once. We met for coffee. She was genuine and kind. She told me she thought what I built was incredible and that standing up for myself at the wedding was brave. It didn't feel brave, I said. Sometimes that's the same thing. Mountain Peak Resort is thriving. Booked solid through next summer. Revenue projected to hit $5.2 million this year. I bought another property, a small boutique hotel in Portland. I'm building a portfolio. Last week, my father visited the resort for the first time. Just him. Just for a day. I gave him a tour. The renovated rooms. The restaurant. The spa. We stood in the grand hall where he'd gotten married. This is where I told Vanessa I loved her during our first dance, he said. I know. I watched from my office. You were there the whole time? Yes. Watching everything. That must have been painful. It was clarifying. I got to see exactly who you'd become. And who I'd become in spite of you. We walked into the alpine meadow. Mom would have been proud of you, he said. I know. I think about that every day. Will you ever forgive me? I thought about 6 years of absence. Being uninvited from a wedding at my own property. Building success in silence because there was no one to share it with. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe someday. But forgiveness isn't something you earn with a few conversations and some therapy sessions. It happens over time. If it happens at all. That's fair. But I'm willing to keep trying. Thank you. That's more than I deserve. We drove back down the mountain separately. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. 3 new booking requests today. All referrals from the Chin Whitmore wedding guests. This venue is becoming legendary. I smiled. The wedding I wasn't invited to had become the best marketing my resort ever had. The story spread. The young owner who confronted her father at his wedding. Who revealed herself at the exact moment he thought she didn't exist. People loved it. Not because it was dramatic. But because it was real. I'd built something valuable. Something that mattered. And when my father tried to erase me from his celebration, I showed up anyway. At my own property. On my own terms. The calls started the next morning. Just like I knew they would. But I didn't need them anymore. Didn't need his apology or his pride or his recognition. I'd already won. The moment I bought the resort. The moment I built a business he knew nothing about. The moment I stood in that grand hall and said, "This is mine." His wedding was just the epilogue. The story was already written. And I wrote every word of it myself.